So I'm covering robotics, automation, and manufacturing, and we had a lot of people working in robotics, with robots, or behind robots, different aspects in robots, and manufacturing as well. So today I'm very happy to have Alex here, who is in automation with AI automation. But this is a broad field and can mean everything and anything, right? So I'm very happy to have you here, an expert with that topic, and yeah, maybe you can give a little intro, what you're doing, and then what we normally do in the show is going way back, how you got in contact with the technology in the first place, and maybe show others and can be an inspiration of what you did in the past and what you're doing today. And maybe this could be something for them. So welcome,
All
Alex.
right. Thank you so much for the invite, my good man Elliot. I'm happy to be here. And yeah, I'll try my best today to share some valuable knowledge with a good audience that you have these wonderful people who want to learn more about this slightly nerdy but very useful stuff, especially if you go into AI automation. Who I am an AI educator, also consultant. I kind of travel around continents as a digital nomad. I teach people and companies, teams, entrepreneurs, how to leverage AI, right? Because it is a buzzword currently, right? A lot of people heard about it, but then when I go and ask them questions like, how are you using it? Are you actually leveraging it? And I can tell you the big majority, they're not using it. They're bookmarking the resources and they're never applying it, And it's a pity because I've been using it. I'm a fan. It's been making my life much easier, or let's say much more interesting with what it allows me to do. So that's why I decided to double down on this. I left my corporate career to go on to my own path as an entrepreneur, as an individual consultant, and it's been one hell of a ride. So yeah, I've been like to Las Vegas like last month, a couple of months ago. I might go to New York next month if everything goes well. So I'm happy to share some AI automation knowledge and also answer some questions. Like if the audience wants to know more, they can also ask questions, I guess, later, and I can try to follow up. So yeah, happy to be here and be useful to you.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the introduction as well. And I mean, there's a lot of, as you said, there's a lot of buzz around AI and robotics. And yeah, I'm very happy that we will, bit by bit, trying to explain how AI is already in our lives, how you're using it, and how other can use it as well. And yeah, what I normally like to do is, so how do you get in contact with technology? Are you one of those? We talked about this earlier. Are you one of those who disassembled a radio when you were younger? And you said to me that I might be a little bit surprised. So guide us through those. So what happened? What happened in your earlier life?
Right, because again, this is one of those questions because either people think that I'm a tech guy because you see me like I was talking with a lady on the train last week when I went to Torino to do like a class for the university, and there was this English lady, and she looked at me and she's like, "You're into tech, aren't you?" And I was like, "You don't even know me. How did you like read me like that, But
Hmm.
why do I mention this? Because like I might look like a nerdy guy, but when I was a child, well, I wasn't necessarily disassembling, like radios or this kind of stuff. I spent a lot of time in nature. I used to like to run around, to study, like animals, plants, this kind of stuff. But I used to take apart my toys. So I can tell you, I think hundreds of toys paid the price of my curiosity because I used to break them down and see how they work. And this fascinated me. And it was a big cost for my parents to keep buying me new toys. But
Hmm.
there is something there because I was a curious person. And I think that it is connected a bit with what I do nowadays and also throughout my career. Because I like to think of curiosity as a skill in the current age that we live in because it allows you to do many more things that like it's not a hard skill, but it's a very important skill, right? Simply being curious about things because this will allow you to go where others do not go, especially in the times that we live with AI.
This is one of my major topics, right? Stay curious, because then asking questions, and I was saying this in the episode before, by asking questions, you can open so many doors. You said
Yep.
that you're an educator, but I do know that your education not necessarily starts, as you said, deep tech, right? So walk us through what happened with you after or in school. I'm really curious to better understand how you got into
Yeah.
tech.
Right. So that's the thing, because as I said, the majority of people would expect me that I'm a programmer or software developer or something. And actually, no, I am a communications expert. We can call it this way. I mean, that's how I started. because I studied, so in university it was like languages for international cooperation. That's how I learned like English, German. I also speak Romanian, Italian. So I my expertise was simply talking with people. It took an interesting turn though during my master's because I was fascinated. I went to this class of this professor of sociology, right? Because I also like psychology. I like human interaction, the human mind. And
Mm.
what happened is he mentioned, this was, I think, in 2019 or something, or even earlier, he was mentioning chatbots, chatbot communication. And I was like, what is that? What do you mean? I was fascinated by this class. So then I went back home and I started investigating. I found stuff on like on Replica, on Eliza, that people think, oh, ChatGPT from last year. Like, no, this stuff existed from the 60s. And people were deceived by AI since the 60s. But so that was the thing that kind of made me pivot, where I was like, I did my master's thesis. Everybody expected me to do it like in communication or linguistics or whatever. And I was like, no, 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 no. I don't need to do this like in human to human communication. I want to talk about human to machine communication, right? Like
Hmm.
chatbots, the impact of chatbots on society, for example, in Italy. And what I talked about, I started this kind of stuff in 2000, late 2017, I think, if I remember correctly. And nobody cared back then. Nobody cared. People were like, chatbot, get out of here. I don't even care. I don't know what those are. Because it wasn't popular. They were not good. Like I deep dived into this, right? To learn all of this like big data, LLMs, this kind of stuff, right? But nobody cared because nobody used them. And to build chatbots was very expensive. They were very clunky. The fun fact though was like I did my thesis, nobody cared. And like 5 years later, when ChatGPT released, now it was popular. But this was an advantage to me personally because while people they were like, I don't know what this is, I heard about this thing, I immediately tried it. Right in November 2022, I heard about this new chatbot and I was like, let me try this out. Let me see if it's as the others. And it was not like the others. It was much better. It was immensely better, right? Because it wasn't these like clunky programmed interaction where like if you say this, it will give you that. If you say that, right, it was spontaneous conversation pretty much. So I immediately tried it. I saw the huge value in it, and I immediately started using it more and more. And since I'm a person that probably you're going to ask this later a bit like my values or stuff like that, but I like automation because it gives me my time back. It's something I cannot buy, right? Money I can make, time I can't buy. So that's where I start. Like my whole focus was like, how can I use this thing? People use it for art, for having fun. It was neat, but I was like, no, 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 no. I want to use this to do the job for me. That's what I want it for to do my reports, to talk with my colleagues and all this stuff. So that's how it started all of this.
I mean, the this was, I guess, one of the main breakthroughs for AI into the mainstream, right? As you said,
Yeah.
we had chatbots before, right? There were some internet pages that had very clumsy chatbots with very basic. You ask these kind of keywords, and then you get these kind of answers. But yeah, you're right. This was one of the very first versions where you had the opportunity to really kind of interact and as using it as a brainstorm. I mean, the chatbot was not the main focus here, right? As you said, it was much more behind that. My question here is when you said, so you went to university and you're coming from a non-technical background, and then
Yeah.
you start getting into tech. This is what makes me curious. Because there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of do you have this kind of degree, there's a lot of how do you say this, barriers, right? If you don't have a degree in this and that, then it's very hard to work in tech every now and then. Nowadays, as there's so many valuable resources and there's so many courses and so many options to teach yourself. In the episode before, we had someone who has an education in robotics, who has a master degree, but he said that throughout his learning path, he learned so much more. And this is the reason why he built a course around that, because he said there's so many things you don't know. There's so many things you don't know where to tap into, because there's so many different options to study, right? And
Yep.
as I'm always saying that last year was kind of the big breakthrough for AI tools. And this year it seems to be one of the big years, or this is the big year for embodied AI. So robots are almost everywhere. We just had ICRA in Yokohama happening, so a conference where a lot of research is happening with publishing papers, but also seeing robots, right? Automate
Yeah.
happened in Chicago in the beginning of May. And here, again, a lot of companies showing their humanoids, their robots. And what I'm curious is, because you were saying this a few times now, how can I use this for me? And there's no disruption if there's no adoption, right? So
Hmm.
if there's some tools that are interesting but you're not using them, there's no real value for them. So I would like to explore a little bit more about how you said to yourself, because we can say this, we met over Twitter. And so
Hmm.
originally we are Twitter friends, X now.
Yeah.
And I think it was in March we finally met. There was this European Robotic Forum in Rimini. My dear friend Alex is, as he might mentioned before, he's not only speaking Italian, he is Italian. He's originally from Italy. So he said, I'm jumping on the train. And so we met and had a beautiful night in Bologna. This is where you studied, where you did your master's as well. And yeah, let's go back to how you said, okay, this could be something for me, right? This could be something. This is so interesting. I really think I would like to apply it. I would like to use it for me. Okay, as I said, I'm curious to understand when you said, okay, this is definitely something that is interesting enough for me to dig deeper into it, to ignoring all the, let's be honest, all the bullshit that you see, all the gurus, all the because when there's an opportunity, there's always people coming out trying to leverage it from them, which is fair, right? But in the very end, hopefully, only those who really add value, even that seems a buzzword now, who really add value and who's doing something for that. Because I'm always trying to show that even though you might not have a degree, you're not a programmer, you're not a builder, there is opportunities for you to get in tech. But let's be honest, let's be real, and let's try to find an opportunity to really do something versus just being there for the show, just being there for the money. And yeah, but because there is opportunities for using an eye, and I would like to understand how it was for you. You said that you saw directly the opportunity and you jumped on it, and I would like you to hear your experience with that.
Right. So that's a great question. I mean, it's not necessarily like the opportunity per se. Like for me, for example, I already had like a pretty comfortable, like corporate job together working with a small company called Google in Berlin. And the thing is, though, what I was finding interesting is like this technology was changing my work, right? I enjoy doing it and I saw an opportunity to do things better. I was like, this can help me live better. And that was what kind of helped because it allowed me, like, as you said, there were like a lot of gurus, people, just like showing those viral tools every week, 50 new AI tools. And then I tried to explore it, right? And I was asking them questions. Did you use this? Which one is better? And they didn't know because they never tried them. And I got upset, I was like, okay, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be, the person that tries these, finds which ones work well for what purposes, and apply them because I want to get more free time. Again, I don't need to make money with sponsors with AI tools. I want to win for myself, and that's what I give my clients at the end of the day, right? I give them tools that I would use myself. So that's how it kind of started out. Now, it's important to notice here, as you said, non-tech background, because, well, two things I think could be important for the people listening or seeing the show, right? So, first of all, the majority of stuff that you learn in university is going to be outdated really fast, and 90% of it it's useless. I know this is going to upset some people that you pay, like a $30,000 degree or something, but once you start doing real jobs out there, once you get into a job, you realize how much they taught you in university, it's not really applicable that much. So what happens now? What makes a huge difference, though, is how solutions oriented are you? Like, how are you with problem solving, right? So, my boss asked me this: can I deliver a solution? It can be with code, it can be like working with colleagues, it can be like, finding something together. So in my case, it also worked well because yes, I don't have like a technical background, but I was able to, do some coding, for example, for a couple of clients with ChatGPT 4. I was able to hire, a couple of freelancers to help me with a more bigger solution if I really needed to. But what mattered at the end of the day is that I gave them solutions to their problems, right? So that's why I would tell people like degrees will help you if it's exactly what you need for, right? So if you're applying for a job as a, software developer, having a degree in that will help you, will give you a little bit of a boost. But if you would go for the same interview by showing 10 testimonials of past client work, you're going to beat any person with a degree. I can promise you that. So what matters to me, like that's what I noticed, right? So I was like, that's why when I went into AI, I was like, I don't need to get like a university degree into AI. I just need to use it, get results with it, and then give it to other people, right? And that's what works because at the end of the day, right, nobody asks you, like, oh, to what university have you, like, if I would have told people, like, I've been to Oxford, and it's like, okay, but what can you give me? Can you give them anything? Because, right, that's the thing. That's the problem usually that students have. Like, they finish a prestigious degree and then they're not able to do anything practical in life, which is the complete opposite of the self-learner, right? Of the self-made person, which like actually went there, they watched the YouTube tutorials, they created some solutions that work for people, and what they deliver is solutions, right? Problem solving. I'm not coming to you and say like I have a degree, hire me. I'm saying I can fix your problems. Let's talk. Does that make sense?
Yes, I mean, we do need to, as you said, we do need to make the separation between, do you want to be in computer science, or let's not get into robotics, because there's other skills necessary, which you can still obtain without a degree,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Through curiosity and through a lot of resources out there. Even though if you're not only going into software, but in hardware as well, then it's a little bit more complicated, because then hardware is necessary. So you need a printer, you need electronic parts. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on what you said regarding practical or applying. What I like here about is, and this is a recurring topic as well, you're a tech founder and you're a very good programmer. But the question is, and this is not for everyone. Today we're speaking a lot about entrepreneurial mindset and being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. And here it's or being a founder, right? You can be a builder, but you always need to apply it to a problem, right? So we talk about this very often. Don't build a solution and trying to find a problem for it, versus trying to identify problems and then build a solution. And you said, without having a degree in computer science, you focused only on the problem part, and then you were trying to find solutions for the problem. And so here you said, I'm able to, even though I don't have a technical degree, I'm using my curiosity to explore the existing AI tools that are here. Some of them are crap, some of them are very good, or a combination of them can be a solution to a customer. And I think here I would like to understand more, because it's not an either pass, right? There's a free trial. This tool is very good. How did you manage to really um, from an entrepreneurial perspective, how did you really set, because I mean, now I'm jumping, but please tell me and walk us through how this journey was for you, because it's not, you're not at the end. I do know that you're still struggling with, I want to build more. I want to get a little bit away from just the education part, which is still important, but becoming a builder. And here I would like to hear your experience, because you were able to already have clients. You were able to already sell the knowledge that you have, even though you don't have a deep tech background and a degree in computer science.
Yeah. So this is a great topic because what I can tell you, first of all, well, I think people sometimes get lost in the details, right? What I mean with this, and again, if we focus a bit on the entrepreneurial journey, we like tech, right? So, for example, somebody who has a degree in computer science, like they are into tech. That doesn't mean your clients are into tech. And that's a whole different talk, right? Because the thing is, what I also noticed from my mistakes talking with some potential clients and failing these talks, because I gave them the tech idea, the tech rundown, right? How is it supposed to work? And they didn't care. They were bored. They were, I got confused. So if you go and see it from a bird's eye view, right? they don't really care how it fixes their problems as long as it does it. So, for example, I don't pitch to people anymore like, oh, I can build chatbots for you that manage customer service or outreach or sales. I can just tell them I can build an AI assistant that makes your life easier. It can get you more leads. Do you want more leads? Yes, I do. Do they come and care to see, like, oh, can you show me what you program there with JavaScript? No, they don't. They see like, oh, did I get more sales this month? Yes. Bingo. Now, this is important because I've also met quite a few builders out there, as you mentioned, right? People who are very good at like programming stuff and that. And I can tell you a lot of them make the mistake of building in the void, where like, I love programming, I can make this app or something like that, and they have nobody who's going to buy it. They do not understand how the marketing works, what's happening out there of specific niche, how people think psychology. And this is a significant issue because you can be like, if I get to compare the two things, I'd rather be like a very good marketer who can improvise solutions than either be like a super genius builder programmer that doesn't know how to talk to people, because you're not going to be able to close nothing, like that's why. So like even for you in the future, like if you want to create your own company, you are going to require those people skills, right? When you talk with other people, like what are they struggling with, what do they want to know? So having said that, right, in my case, for what I want to build, so I started with education because I enjoy it, right? So like as I worked also as a Google trainer, my job was to talk 8 hours per day with people and help them be successful in their jobs. So I'm kind of doing the same with AI. It's just like the topic is cooler, like it's more interesting because before I used to do like ads. So I was like, it's not my passion as a child, like, oh yeah, I want to show people YouTube ads. Eh. But AI is a bit more interesting, right? They can win their time back and spend more time with the family, enjoying their hobbies, building a side hustle. This is all things that people are passionate about. They care. And I enjoy working with people who are passionate about things. So education, when I do conferences, when I teach people, like I have like, groups of people, like last month too, I trained like 12 entrepreneurs. I enjoy doing this. Now, going more in the builder direction, also because I would want at one point to build maybe some specific solutions for people, right? And it can be either me, or maybe I can hire a team of a couple of people, right, that can help me out with this. So again, it's not a static journey where you like, I am a one-trick pony, I have to do only this. You can adapt, you can evolve. But there are some timeless principles that you should keep in mind. That's why I like to mention again, right? So knowing a bit of marketing, how to talk with people, what are their problems, even for getting a job, right? A lot of people I see there, because I worked also for half a year as a recruiter. And I can
Mm.
tell you, I learned quite a lot, right? When people come to you and say like, oh, I have this and this degree. And I'll be like, I don't care. I have these problems with my company. Can you fix them? Do you have the experience? Yes or no? And people kind of fail these questions. So
Mm.
if in your case, if you're listening to this, right, that's the whole mindset shift that you should have, where you're like, let me see what we're currently working it with and how we can make it better for our clients, for our consumers, because that's what they want. They don't want the tech, they want the solutions. Does that make sense?
I really enjoy this. I mean, because we have regular talks, right? The two of us, and um, it's so interesting because it gives the opportunity or window, right? This is what I like to why I like to have these kind of conversations. So I don't have a background in computer science, but that doesn't mean I cannot work for a tech company, right? Because working in a tech company means much more than just the product. And especially tech people like to be a little bit judgy here. You don't know enough. You don't know enough about this to be in tech. You don't know enough to be a founder in tech. But the reality is, when I speak, especially in startups, when I speak to founders, and yeah, they contact me very regularly. We have calls, and I do this kind of mind changing conversations. I don't want to make it too big or too yeah, I don't want to sound too phony here, but what I'm saying is there is not only the tech part that is part of a company, and there's, as you said, there's marketing, there's sales, and
Yep.
all these skills can and needed to be acquired. And especially in the early stages of a startup, you it's and this is very well known, you do need to have a few people that do a lot of things, right? So in the beginning, hire generalists that do a lot of things, and as you grow, then you hire specialists that do specific tasks, right? But
Yep.
what I really liked about you is that you are forcing your way into that world of tech. You are said, okay, there is this barrier which you do need to have a degree from a tech company, from a tech university, and said, no, 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 I can do whatever I want to, right? There's all the tools out there. I am learning those tools. I am applying those tools, and I'm building a little customer base. And through fast iterations, I'm learning a lot of marketing and sales, and then I learn much more, as you said, about their problems. So even though you don't know how to program, you said, I can hire programmers. I can, for basic things, some of the tools are already good enough, right? You don't need to be a programmer. And so this is what I really liked about your entrepreneurial mindset. And it sounds buzzy because it's everywhere, but with you, I see the grind to no, I don't accept those barriers. I am grinding my way and I'm working my way into the deep tech niche. And I started as an educator, but I educated myself through education so much, so now I'm able to have clients myself.
And I can
Um,
tell you even more. I can give a practical
Please.
example of this, right? So when I went to like an Imagine AI live at this like huge conference, there were like 500, like business leaders and super cool people like in Las Vegas. And I did my presentation was like 15 slides with like 5 no code practical ways to get your time back, right? So, and we had like great speakers. They were like super inspiring people with like big companies, builders, right? And they showed their slides, for example, and they were good. They were like inspiring, but quite a few, like few of them were actually practical. You're like, okay, what did I get from this? Well, how can I apply it? Like if we talk about AI. And in my case, I had quite a few people coming to me after my presentation, and I also like during the next day telling me, is like, hey, I really enjoyed yours because I can apply this. Like I can get my time back right now. It's not about speculation, the future, innovation. It's like this is how I can put AI to work for me. And to be honest, like that's in my little work how I want to change a bit the world, right? Like I'm not Microsoft. I'm not Google trying to change the life of 10 billion people out there, right? I do in my small way. I'm impacting the jobs of a few people, of a few small companies, some students out there, right? I'm doing my best that I can. I'm enjoying it. By the way, it's much cooler than working like in a big corpo, at least from my experience, how things have changed. But it's also a journey, that allows you to learn a lot more about yourself. What are your weaknesses, your strong points? So I get also more freedom. So you know me a bit. I work. It's not like, oh, now I'm just chilling in Bali the whole day. Like, no, there's a lot of hard work. The difference is I enjoy doing it. So because I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm impacting people out there, and this is interesting to me. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it's a thing that's now possible. That it's one of the differences that again I went a bit against the grain, where like my family is a bit more traditionalist, right? They was like, oh, you need to get a job and then you're done. And I had the job, the well-paid job, and I was like, is this it? Right. So
Hmm.
that's why I went kind of like the solo entrepreneur route. And that's where I learned like, hey, you can learn to do branding, like personal branding. You can grow an audience. You can go out there and teach people as long as you have good stuff to go on. Like some of the guys that I made, like Microsoft didn't make these guides on branding or Google, right? So I was like, in my own way, I had my little, way of giving value, which was like simple, effective, and then people enjoyed it. Because otherwise, you would not reach 10,000 followers on Twitter if you post garbage, right? And if you're useless to people. So that is a bit my own proof of concept.
I mean, here I do need to apologize to everyone who's watching because it seems like the video is lacking a little bit. But
Oof.
I think the most important point here is that you really were able to take this what's out there and make it useful not only for yourself but for others. And I'm a huge fan of taking things and make it your own, because
Yeah.
there is a lot of buzzwords out there. There's a lot of scam. There's a lot of, I do courses and I sell you a course where you can do a course, these kind of things, right? So to
Yeah.
to differentiate yourself from this kind of um selling shovels in the gold digging age of AI it's hard to make a living out of it. So what I like about you, you're very honest about it's, yes, you are in Bali, yes, you are in Las Vegas on a conference, or you are on a beach, or you are in Romania. So you are living the digital nomad life. But as you said, also it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hard work, struggling. Um, Product market fit is the same problem here, right?
Yeah.
Am I having the right approach to finding problems and finding solutions and bringing them together? I think this is very important here because nothing is easy, right? Success is hard, and it doesn't matter if you're in the corporate world and working 10, 15 years, or if you're a freelancer and
Yeah.
making your own way and finding your own clients, finding your own niche, doing marketing, doing sales, outreach, cold calling. All these things are
Yeah.
part of your entrepreneurial way, and you are using tools to make a lot of these um, the different hats that you're wearing, right? Different departments
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah.
all doing all at once, and you're trying to say, okay, I don't know everything about this, but I do know how to find the tools that are helping me, and I can find through my learnings and experience, I can help other clients to. You're a tech founder, but you don't know too much about cold calling. You don't know too much about sales. I can do automation. I'm able to find the
Exactly.
tools,
Exactly.
using the tools to solve the problems that a startup has. And here, I'm very happy that you are sharing your experience. I would like to understand a bit more about um, like a guidance. So if anybody would be crazy enough to follow your path and say, I'm having this corporate, because the side project or the side hustle culture is big, especially on Twitter, especially on
Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok. So please tell me a little bit more about what is true and what is not true, and how do you find your way through that garbage and made a living out of it.
Right. It's gonna be really simple, like two magic words. Be useful. This, I think a lot of people get it wrong because they see the viral influencers, right? They want the numbers, they want to go viral. I see people go viral, they don't even make $1.
Mm.
They want to get the popularity, right? To say like, oh, I'm famous, I have 100,000 followers, and what are you gonna do with them? So, like, I'm not saying these are not good things to have, but these are not the things that are gonna help you win in this journey, right? Because as we talk sometimes between me and you, right, it's like you need to have some kind of satisfaction from this, and you don't want to just depend on the algo. Because in my case, I post like 20,000 times and I almost never went viral, but I tried to be useful to people, and people perceive that. Sometimes I don't know why, for some odd reason, a lot of creators out there, they think like that. You just go read your newsletter, they try out your guides, and if they're good, they love you and they come to you and they want help from you. If you're bad, they're not going to think about you, they're not going to follow you, they're going to ignore your stuff. So that's why, to me, the thing that helped me was like, be useful, right? I was trying to making these guys, they were kind of boring, but the people who tried them, they were like, hey, this is cool, like I can use Perplexity to do Twitter threads much faster. Like I can literally prompt this. I don't need to have like a ghostwriter. Other stuff like I can use, I don't know, like make.com to do research for me, right? So it can check my stuff and like deliver for me like custom reports instead of me spending every morning 1 hour to go on Google and search various websites and stuff like that. Just some really basic examples, but if you give them that, people will come to you and they will want your help, even with other stuff like branding, for example, creating graphics and stuff like that, right? So for graphic design, they're like, if I can help you save $2,000, would you not want this? And I can show that I did it because I used it for myself with my 20,000 posts, and be like, okay, I know I can trust this guy and he's going to help me. And for me, it was also not that super difficult because I always tried to be quite transparent, right? Like I told people, like, hey, if you don't like what I give you, I'm gonna give you the money back. And we're friends as before. Like I don't need to have the cash grab, like get as much money as I can. Like, oh, then we see what happens. It's like I want to give you quality, and if it's not, I'm totally ready to give you the money back so that you have nothing to lose. And until now, nobody requested a refund. I'm super happy about that for everything, like for my consulting, for my chatbot solutions, for my agents, for my little course. So I'm quite happy about that. But as you said, I put a lot of effort, right, into delivering this quality. It wasn't just like you buy and I forget about you. I would follow up with them. If they had questions, I tried to support people because at the end of the day, we're people here. This is a human game. I know, again, like we talk about robotics and automation and AI, but like it's humans. It's the humans that are using the robots. It's the humans that are using the automations. And people, I think, maybe forget about that sometimes.
You're absolutely right, especially when more and more companies are showing everything is AI generated, right? So the pictures are AI generated, videos now get AI generated. We
Yeah.
saw a few days ago, we saw Google and other companies as well having agents, right? There you can interact with and that help you. I think the newest version of ChatGPT, there was the video where you have a live teaching session, right, with your kid. So this is the math
Yep.
problem that I'm having. How can I solve it? Can you help me with that, right? And these kind of things are still in the early stages, but we can see the potential. We can see that they're getting better, not as good as we would like them to have. There's a lot of hate as well. Why releasing such a solution? I mean, ChatGPT is now a few years old, right? But the it didn't get that exponentially much better, right? And then there's other solutions, open source solutions as well. Meta is doing a great job here. So I would like to understand if I am a newbie, if I see this podcast, if I listen to this podcast, and I think, I I would like to be a builder, but I'm not. I can start as an educator, as Alex did, and then I would like to work my way into becoming a builder. Does that make any sense? Because I heard NVIDIA a CEO saying coding will be dead in a few years. And then I
Mhm.
hear you mentioned this word as well, no code solutions. So how do I fit into that world? Does it make any sense to have a look at those tools or at all? Because wouldn't they not be replaced in a few moments? What is your take on that? How do you stay confident and how do you plan your
That's
future?
a great question. That's a great. You play the human game. You see, people focus so much on the tools instead of focusing on who are using the tools. So for me, I don't get attached, to Chat GPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever. I get attached to the results of my clients, which is not the same thing, right? So like as long as you are trying to solve some form of problem out there, or you have some specific framework in mind, right? So what you said, you're a newbie and you want to start this. What I would advise, right? Start with something that's a bit more niche. So don't go out there and say like, oh, I'll teach you generic prompt engineering. Because people got already some experience with that. I can find 10,000 solutions out there. But focus on something that where you might see that they're like not served, right? Like, I don't know, it can be quite a few things. It can be um okay, I'm gonna give you the latest example, like with the voice solution that we have now, right? So with people who say like they have difficulty, like typing or something, right? So you can literally go and serve that market. Like, hey, I want to build for you like an AI assistant, right? That can help you. You just talk with it and it gives you, I don't know, drawings, or it can send you emails or stuff like that. That's not super hard to build because, as I said, we have these solutions that are becoming more and more no code. For example, one of the automation platforms that I use, it's make.com. It's pretty much similar to Zapier, just at it costs half. Great product. So what you would do is, right, you can combine with it, like for example, ChatGPT or something, right, to listen to the voice of people. You can then combine it so it sends emails, and then you can build like a, well, what we used to call like a ChatGPT wrapper, right? Where like it wraps around ChatGPT and it has a negative connotation sometimes. But to be honest with you, there are people making fat money with this. All right. We're talking about like 5 figures per month with like these kind of mini SaaSes, pretty much. So like if you manage to find one of these little use cases, build one of these, as I said, like a nice UI combined with a ChatGPT in the background that gives you a specific result. It can send it to you via email, or it makes for you an image, or whatever it can be that people enjoy using, right? So they're delighted by it. It's useful, and go for it. That's it. And you can just like focus on that specific thing, like it's books for kids or learning tutor for German. Like one of my friends, for example, in Italy, he built this kind of app where it's helping, it's tutoring students, but with Italian exams. So what he did is he fed a lot of information from the Italian schooling system, And you have this, like, again, it's a GPT wrapper, because I talked with him. So I told him at one point, so you essentially just have a chat GPT wrapper, right? And he's like, well, yeah, this app is going to get acquired for like 80K because it's
Mm,
useful to people, right? So students are
mm,
using it. So he built this like in 2 months. And there's a bigger companies that are like, okay, this is really useful as a tutor for students, because instead of them going and talking or typing to ChatGPT, they get a nice little diagram, right, with like quizzes, and you mark the little boxes. But it's useful. That's the thing. You might say it's simple, it's nothing crazy. Well, this little app is making more money than a lot of, like, hardware solutions out there that nobody cares for. Why am I mentioning this example here? Because there are opportunities out there. Where could you focus your energy, right? Where could you develop? Where could you invest, like 1 or 2 or 3 months to serve that niche? Is it football players? Is it senior people having some issue with some specific process that you can automate, right? I can imagine maybe older people, they have issues, sending mail or something like that. Why don't you make a solution for them where they can just talk with this assistant and it just sends emails for them for what they need, or it reminds them stuff. It doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. It just needs to be useful little thing that makes their life easier for this specific group of people. And there are opportunities out there.
the newer generation, everything will be normal for them, right? So we're talking about these different kind of tools, and even babies nowadays, or very little children know already that if you're putting the finger on the display and make this movement, that it will zoom, right? And if you have an older
Mm.
laptop that doesn't have a touch screen, children are confused because it's part of their reality and of their life, right?
Yeah.
So there's a picture that moves, and I can normally touch it and I can zoom. And if I cannot, this is totally not what I used to experience, right? But we are living in Europe, so the majority of Western countries are older people, right? In Germany,
Yep.
over 50% of the population is over 50, 55, right? So that means there's such a huge part of the population that is not a digital native. And so there will be a few years in the coming, even though there will be some solutions that are doing more and more and more jobs, you still need to apply them. So in robotics and automation, hardware automation, you do see a
Yep.
lot of small and medium-sized companies, and the majority of companies are still that. Over 95%, I don't know the exact number, but over 90% in Germany are still small and medium-sized companies, right? So you have 5 people, you have 10, you have 20 people,
Yep.
and a lot of these employees are older people. And so there is a ChatGPT, but have you used it? You heard about it, you heard it in the news, but
Right.
there's an opportunity. And I saw this a few years ago, and there was a friend of mine, and so he got married. He has a wife, and her father, he's a teacher, but he's an old teacher. So he asked him, "Can you please set up my laptop?" This was during Corona. So can you please set up my laptop so I can have online conferences? And he said, "Sure, no problem," because for him it was a struggle, it was a hassle, right? So we are talking about the
Mm-hmm.
digitization of a lot of things. So here is a niche for you. There's a problem. There's older people, they don't know how to use these kind of very basic tools, how to use Zoom, how to set up camera, how to set up a microphone. Even we struggle, Evan. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Right? And as you said, find the problems, identify the problems, and then trying to find solutions for that. And it's very easy to start here, because you don't need to come up with a lot of upfront equipment. You don't need to come up with a
Yep.
degree. You use curiosity. You explore those tools, and then you find people that have problem, and then trying to match them. So what you did was
And I can
through
tell you
your
even
own.
more.
Yeah, please.
I can tell you even more regarding this, just because, like, some people from your audience, like, they might hear me talk today and might say, like, oh, this guy is like non-technical, he like doesn't know nothing. So I'm kind of presenting a different world. Why? Because what happened to me at one point, right? So I tried to talk for a more technical group of people, right? And it happened a couple of times. Like they would snob me, right? So like, oh, you don't know how to build an LLM, right? Like, or to build these AIs, right? Because if you'd go to these tech conferences, like the more advanced ones, like in San Francisco or whatever, right? Or like deep tech, they're building this stuff, and I get that. It's okay, but listen, there are so many boring industries out there, right? They're like hotels who don't know what chatbots are. It could help them, right? Serve clients. There are roofing companies, because I'm also part of different communities, right? Of people building solutions, like automating other entrepreneurs, right? So because I can learn, we learn from each other at the end of the day. And I mean, there's opportunity there to help people. So in my case, I took the more boring non-tech approach, because like I'm not going to build LLMs to change the world. I'm just going to put a bit of work to help the people out there who don't know how to use these technologies, right? Because I know it's cool to show the latest iteration of ChatGPT, how it's changing the world, but like, are people actually using it? Do they need help? And I can tell you a lot of people need help, but they don't have nobody to talk to, because the tech companies are too busy being, programming and coding and creating amazing software that the humans don't know what to do with it, because nobody's showing you what to do with it. And that's why I find I was like, I'm literally serving this disconnect between tech and the humans. So I'm the
Yeah.
middle, like I'm the facilitator, mediator, whatever you want to call it, right? That's why on my website I put, I'm your human guide to AI. Like that's
Mm.
why I do, like I do meetings, I teach entrepreneurs, like group of 10 entrepreneurs how to use this. I go and talk with the more senior citizens and I show them, hey, you could use this, to get some ideas to what to do in the weekends. I don't know, there's like hundreds of use cases, but people need people for this. It's not like tech needs to take everything, right? There's still utility for the human interactions.
I'm such a huge fan of this because it's a democratizing process. You said, not you, but people are saying, you don't really understand how these LLM work because you don't have a background in computer science, right? So your opinion is not as
Yeah,
fundamentally correct because you don't really know what you're talking about. And then what I like about this is, you know what? You don't care. So you don't want to know how it works. You just want to know how you can do business with it. You want to know how to can make a living out of it. You want to know how you can improve people's life with it. And it might not
exactly.
be as fancy as a degree from MIT in computer science, and you don't know how to code those those programs, but you do know how to make something out of it. And here, I think you're much further ahead versus some tech people that have great products but don't know how to apply it. So they have a little team, they have 5 or 10 people, and they have a great product, but do you have a good website? Do you have a sales
Right,
rep? Do you have a
this is
marketing?
so
And
underestimated, like the user experience, for example, like user experience, user interface, right? Because that's why you mentioned very valid points, and I hope that the people that are listening or watching this today
not watching,
understand the
please.
importance. Yeah, listening, for example, like listening, this this great show, because it's super important to remember that you're serving humans, right? Like it's not machines buying the stuff or working with the stuff. So if you have a nice website that people enjoy going through it, it's going to change completely your work. If you have a nice user experience, right, where like they acquire your product and they go through it and they feel a connection with it, these are such important steps. And I can tell you, like more than half of the people I talked to, and I went through their stuff, and I was like super disappointed because it was either clunky, it was, or you could pretty much exceed it. It was made by programmers, right? People like very smart, and they don't care at all about like human relationships, or like trying to make the product more tangible for people who are not from a tech background, right? Because I mean, your consumers, they are not developers, right? But they want your stuff. They need the help that you're giving them. But are you delivering this in a way that's, digestible? And this is a question that a lot of tech founders should be addressing.
And making the best usage of existing tools. And you are in the niche of, I'm using existing tools and automate processes that can be automated very easily. I can use tools
Right?
to do outreach. I can use tools to go through my numbers. I can use tools cut videos, to create content. I can use tools to get rid of internal communication or some repetitive stuff that can be automated. And yeah, I'm very happy that that you showed how you did it, that you said the main thing that you actually need is time, the will, the grind, and the curiosity to explore this world. And
Yep.
don't how do you say this? Don't because you have always people who look down on you because you don't belong
Mhm.
um to their world of how,
Expectations, you
yeah,
know.
expectation things. And here you can, I mean, you can do scam and you can do all those buzzwording, but you can actually trying to do something with it and apply AI. And I think this
And in
episode
my case,
today.
it worked, for example. One of the little satisfactions I have, right? So when I get messages, for example, like one lady that was in my cohort, she got promoted at her job. Somebody else, like another one of my students, she actually won a hackathon in Latvia, right? Learning all this stuff. So I was like, these are like some people like this is nothing. Well, in my case, with my little work that I do, I'm impacting people's lives and making it just a bit better for them. And that makes me happy. And I think they're also happy. So that's what matters at the end, right?
Yeah, we do need to have our own way, our own understanding of success, what means success, how we can get
Yeah.
into it, and let not hold ourselves back because of a lack of education, a lack of degrees. You are, I think, a great example of what consistency and hard work, dedication, and curiosity can do. And I hope today's episode was a great example of how to use AI and how to apply AI, right?
Think. Yeah, I have to think about, for example, like in my case, what I can tell to the listeners today is like, you just need first to think a bit, right? Like, so what do you want to do with AI? Like, it's not just a toy. Use it, try to figure out ways to save your time so you can do better things. Try to be creative because creativity is one of the values that's going to be super important the next years. So these are things that you should be considering and thinking before even going and talking with ChatGPT or building automations, because they can change your life drastically, change my life, but it's up to us to think and leverage them properly. That's what I would say to people.
Hmm. Alex, I'm very happy that you took the time today and said, Ilya, I would like to let people show behind the AI hype, especially on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Twitter or X. There is an AI hype, and a lot of these tool lists are garbage. But if you actually take the time and have a look through the tools and actually trying to apply, then you can make your way into tech, and then you can make out a living out of it. And
Yep.
yeah, I'm happy that you're so honest about it's not coming. And not everything is easy, and not everything will
No.
be easy to solve. And this idea of AI can do, it's a magic word in a magic box and can do everything for you. But you can be part of it, and you can make usage out of it.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Sheila, for inviting me. And yeah, I wish you a pleasant day. And I hope that your listeners will show up again in the next episode because you're doing a great work out there. So keep it up.
Thanks, man. And yeah, let's see what comes out of it. How maybe we can have a episode in 1 year's time and see what you were actually trying to build with all the AI tools that are out there. Because you said that you would like to go from educating to build something and really dig deeper into it. And yeah, I'm happy that you took the time. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day as well.
All right. Ciao.